Now, one of the things that we know is that obviously inflation is one of the things that not only is it important to investors, but it's also important to day consumers here in South Africa. I mean, in South Africa, yesterday the figures came out and inflation went up to 3% in South Africa for the month of December, which was 0.1 increase from the kind of inflation figure we saw in November. Now the reason why this is very important, or this figure is very important to not only investors but also all the consumers in the country, is that this figure measures, or this index measures, the average prices of basket of goods and services consumed by household. This figure is very essential because it gives a gauge, or inflation gauge, helping us understand how prices are changing over time. Now this CPI figure takes into account various categories such as food and beverages, housing, transportation, medical care, other goods and services. All these things are taken into account by the CPI figures, and you will find that things like oil, if the prices of oil go up, then obviously inflation will usually go up as well. The fact that oil is up, petrol will go up, and that as a result will make these companies that are giving us these products and services to increase or adjust their pricing, which is why it's very, very important to consumers to understand what inflation is and how to measure it, and what is bad inflation, what is good inflation. I mean, as it stands in South Africa right now, the SA Reserve Bank, their target is to get, or was to get, inflation to 4.5%, but we are seeing right now inflation at 3%, which is a very good thing because now it's even lower than what the SA Reserve Bank was targeting. I mean, 2 years ago, you know that here in South Africa we had a problem of high inflation where it was over 7%, meaning that it was not a good environment to either invest, save, and also buy products, because for those that are saving money in the banks, they were not getting good interest, because whatever interest they're getting in the bank was lower than inflation, which obviously it meant that they were just losing money. Piling money into the bank was making them lose money, whereas those that are investing, at least, yes, though they had to minus 7% to get their real interest on their investments, but some of them, they were getting something. I mean, investments, you know that there are various investments that you can partake or go and invest to try to make money, and most of the investments, when you find the good ones, they will give you 10%, 20%, 50%. There are some that can give you 100% annually, which obviously those investments, or investing, it is for that reason that it's important, because with investing you have got a chance to beat inflation all day, every day, which is something that obviously it's good, and it is why on this channel I also talk about investing. Now here in South Africa, inflation it's published by the Statistics South Africa, or Stats SA, that on a month to month they will give us where inflation is, or how the CPI figures came about. I mean, it's high time that all the South African consumers get to familiarize with some of these things, because I mean, I have been part of the people, or some time back I was one of the people that you're just asking yourself, what does it mean when people are saying inflation is too high, inflation is killing us? But now I understand, because I took some time and go in and dive, understand these things, and you know that it is the figure that tracks the weighted price of goods and services, which is something that obviously is very important. It is the figure that tracks the average prices of products that are being used on a household on a day-to-day, which is something that, like I said, it's very, very important you know this, because everyone eats food. The next thing you go buy bread is 20 bucks. What is happening is the cost of living, inflation. Prices increase due to inflation. Yes, inflation, it's not a good thing, but we don't want to get to a place where inflation is also too low. The opposite of high inflation, it's a recession. We don't want the country to go into a recession, because what is happening like right now in China right now, the inflation is too low, and therefore they are trying to lower interest rates to make, or to stimulate the economy by making their consumers to be able to afford quite a number of things, go out there, buy cars, properties and all that, which is a problem, because when there is a recession, it simply means that the country's economy is not growing. GDP figure has been dropping like crazy month to month, which that leads into a recession, and as a country it is bad. Or even me and you can invest into a company that has GDP figures dropping down, because that's not a good sign of an economy growing. We want to invest into countries where their economies continue growing, because that will mean that even our monies will have a chance to also grow as the economy of the country grows. So this is what inflation is about. South Africa yesterday, Stats SA released the figures. We are at 3%, meaning that right now, even for those that are saving, investing, buying shares, or taking the money to the bank, real interest on your investments is equals to the percentage that your asset is giving you, your savings account is giving you, minus the 3%, which is the current inflation this month of January, which was the current inflation for the month of December, which that's how we calculate the real interest of whatever we are doing, of whatever investments or savings we are putting out there. So yeah, man, tell me what you think about this. Just thought I come and explain this to you. I mean, this is very also important to investors, because when inflation is too high, then it's not a good environment to invest into buying companies or bank shares, because when inflation is too high, it triggers the central bank or the SA Reserve Bank to increase interest rates, meaning that the money that you pay for your loans will go up. The money that you are paying for your non-fixed loans, it gets to be increased. And that's not good, ladies and gents, because obviously we end up not affording some of the loans that we have taken, which is always bad. So even for in the investing world, the companies that we invest in the stock market, remember these companies, they go and borrow money, or they somehow have debts which they have to service, they have to pay. It simply means that the growth of those companies end up being compromised because they have to prioritize paying their debts. They have to prioritize paying more of their debts, which obviously when interest rates is high, their interest on their debts will also increase, therefore making them to having to pay more, like you and me. So it does affect everyone. I have explained how it affects consumers who are not saving, who are not investing. I have explained how it affects those that are saving money, investing money, like you and me, and the companies that we invest in, which is very, very important for you to know. As a household, consumers not saving, who's not investing, inflation it plays a huge role. Or it's important that you know, because the next day you go buy food, it's expensive. What happened? Well, it's because inflation is high, and the more inflation grows, is the more, of course, the prices of the food that we eat in the house will grow. Secondly, when you are saving money, if you are a saver, at some point, like I said 2 years ago, savers were losing money because inflation was too high in South Africa. Number three, the companies we invest in, investors. Now we also have to think about inflation. When you see your stock market portfolio maybe overall being at 20%, your real interest on that is 20% minus 3%, which will be 17%. That's how you calculate real inflation. Now, on the companies that we invest in, these companies, I said, they take loans, or they are usually taking loans to grow their business, and they have to pay back those loans. And when inflation is high, interest rates are high, their repayments or their loans will go up, and the demand for their products will go down, because consumers can't afford, won't be able to afford some of the products, some of the services they used to buy, they used to subscribe to previously, due to high inflation, because they cannot afford anymore. So it has got quite a number of impacts, and I hope this video was clear enough. I'll see you on my next video, man. These were just my opinions and not professional financial advice. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, so that at least you get notified every time I drop a new content. I'll see you in my next video, and God bless you all.